Remember, this entire manga and every manga on this channel is hand-drawn by myself, and now you too can learn exactly how to make your own viral Dragon Ball mangas at www.makemanga.com, where you can learn directly from me. My mangas have got me on TV, on newspapers, and even earned me over $60,000 a month on Patreon alone. And now, you can click the link in the description and pinned comment of this video and do it yourself. You only need to see the website to see just how many thousands of you are taking this opportunity right now. And don't forget also, the next video to this Ultra Vegito series has already been made and is live now on my Patreon right now for over 4,500 of you incredible fans to watch after this. Again, links are in the pinned comment and description. Enjoy.
So this is it, huh, Dai? Where the so-called devil is. Can't say anything surprises me anymore.
I could say the same, God Killer. So our story continues strangely with Vegito and the former Grand Priest Dai, now back in blemishless clothes and in the most out of place of areas. The grass green, the background vibrant, and the skies blue, as what looks like the brightest of suns would shine down. But the God Killer, looking down at his restored garbs, would instead be more interested in commenting,
My, something about a fresh set of clean clothes always makes me feel 1,000 times stronger. But thanks, you angels are useful for more than your pitiful energy after all, eh?
Before then turning towards his once rival and continuing,
But I've got to admit, I kind of hoped you had given me something different for once. Kind of like what Kibito gave Gohan that one time. You gods can do that, right? Something different would have been befitting meeting this new devil. Oh well.
Yes. Maybe next time, if you're any less insufferable. As Dai, now revealing himself, would no longer be in his transformed state, but back to his shortened and most recognizable form. The seemingly new sidekick of the God Killer would then continue, But we have far more pressing matters. I'm sure I don't need to tell you. This is the final hurdle. Accomplish this, and you can rid us all of my brother. As looking around at the surroundings, even the Grand Priest would comment, Despite what it looks like, there is no doubt this is the sector of the current devil, a representation of him and his power. What this place tells us about him, I don't know, but we must find him nonetheless. And hearing this, with his hands on his hips, Vegito, looking around as well, would respond,
I'd say, if this is what he wanted for his home, for once, he's not a total freak. I've been in some of the ugliest places known to man so far. At least, this kind of reminds me of Earth. Come, let's see what kind of guy he's like.
And with that, Vegito would blast off with eagerness through the warm summer air. Well, at least he's not wasting any time, as a slightly concerned Dai would just follow on. The two would then be seen flying at a speed right across the new peaceful sector, looking eagerly for whoever would inevitably meet them first. With after some time, Vegito would then look back saying,
So tell me, since you've been in the demon realm a little longer than me, you got any idea what happens once I beat this guy? How quickly will I get out of here? Because as much as this place is reminding me of home, it's starting to make me feel impatient. I need to get home, die!
As with a sudden change in mood, the God Killer would finally get back into his mind the urgency of his true goal. But before Dai could even give his response, an inkling of information to lessen Vegito's worries.
What the hell? Whose energy is that? Is that someone coming over here or?
As traveling right towards the two powerful warriors, just as they would fly forward, coming the other way would be a fast-moving energy signature. Just what exactly it was, though, would still be a mystery until... Vegito! As only moments later, its true target would be seen, coming straight for the God Killer, and not being a person, but a straight beam of energy. A beam of energy that could be recognized instantly by anyone.
This is...
As looking dead straight at the beam as it would pass him, Vegito's eyes would know all too well even before us, confused immediately as he would wait for the attack to end. And just like that, the entire beam would shoot past far into the distance, as the God Killer would twirl around. But still, with a stunned face, recognizing it as obviously the special beam cannon, Vegito would comment whilst looking with Dai.
You know that attack as well as I do, right, Dai?
With the Grand Priest responding, Indeed. Over there! As turning backwards, the former Grand Priest would immediately pinpoint the assailant, standing amongst the smoke of the aftermath of his beam being let off.
Almost.
As in a both surprising and unsurprising reveal, the signature attack would be let off by Piccolo himself. Some way, somehow, in the final sector of the new devil, stuck in stance from his special beam cannon, but with his eyes now clearly different. It may not exactly be the Piccolo we knew, or is it?
It's been a long time, Vegito.
But as the black sclered Piccolo would begin to talk, it would seem more and more real as time went on. What is this? The Namekian from Universe 7? There's no way he could be here. Even if he was killed by a demon in the mortal realm and sent here, he could not have made it from Sector 10 to here before us. What is this? Leaving even Dai bamboozled, as he would try to be the brains in the situation. Since without a thought more, the God Killer Vegito in contrast, without any fear or consideration, would already be on the ground, landing right before his old friend.
Well. Do you have any idea how long it's been, Green Man? I can sense from your eyes You're not the real deal. But man, oh man, it feels all the same to see you again, friend. You haven't aged a day. Can the same be said for your power level though? Because I'm thinking you weren't made to just have a chat.
To which Piccolo, now in fighting stance, would surprisingly respond,
Cocky as ever. That'll be the Vegeta in you. As always though, if you really wanted an answer to that question, there's only one way to find out. Is that so? I don't think the real Piccolo would be so brazen to challenge me. It was seldom seen he'd even fight Kakarot anymore. But I'll bite. Just do me a favor and keep your blood off the clothes.
we can't promise you that, buddy. But just as Vegito would get himself ready to fight, unexpectedly, a voice would be heard calling out, and not one that would elicit much fear. Can't let Piccolo have all the fun. I've been itching to give my new improved Wolf Fang fist a go. As unbelievably, the next fighter to appear would be Yamcha of all people. He too, with these strange blackened eyes, but talking as if his real personality was still intact.
Really? This devil has a strange sense of humor. Because Piccolo I understand, but Yamcha was the next choice.
Comedically leaving Vegito with the most awkward of looks, as not even he could pretend to be in any way intimidated, just staring with confusion until... Hold on, don't forget about us, Vegito. But yet again, another voice would come into the fray, as a monk-like foot would come into show, followed by a familiar beard, then a bold head, and then two more sets of feet that would also mysteriously appear. It would seem each of these belonged to a new arrival on the battlefield.
What? You guys are?
As suddenly, surrounding Piccolo on all sides, facing the God Killer, would be a medley of Z-Fighters. From Android 17 and 18, Yamcha, Krillin, Tien, even to King Vegeta. Something would be strange about the choice of Z-Fighters, as if they all shared a common link.
How is this possible? I can recognize all of their energies. Not even Madara's illusions felt this real.
This reveal leaving the God Killer frozen momentarily, as in his final challenge before finally reaching back home, he'd never thought he'd be face to face again with so many of his family and friends. But with a serious countenance back on his face, he would snap back to reality and let out,
Yep, this new devil has a really funny sense of humor. An odd choice of my family to bring back. No Gohan, no Goku or Vegeta clone. It's almost like he just wants me to slaughter you all quickly.
I think you're getting a bit ahead of yourself, friend. But smirking back, almost excited would be Piccolo, who would respond,
Things have changed since you've been away. We've gotten stronger too. The Earth was ours to protect, not just yours. And we'll show you that now. Come! Don't go easy on us, because we won't!
As suddenly, like a pack of wolves, the strangely one-to-one versions of the Z-Fighters would all simultaneously come at once, throwing themselves at the God Killer.
Oh, don't worry. I won't be, you damn copy!
As with his eyes suddenly turning a demonic shade of red as he would grin, it would appear not even the sight of his friends and family would go anywhere near to disrupting the God Killer from exacting his vengeance. As even he would comment,
I'm guessing the new devil really thought I'd be so fragile to not be able to harm my loved ones.
as he would continue,
but such obvious fakes will do nothing of the sort, clown!
as Yamcha would then be seen making an attack forward that of course would miss as Vegito would disappear. As with the God Killer reappearing right behind, Vegito would add,
these personalities aren't even right. Since when would Yamcha even have the guts to fight me?
Hey, what? I've been in plenty of battles, you know. When did I start being seen as a...
Shut up and die!
Wait! No, I take it back! Yamcha!
Yamcha!
As suddenly, Vegito would extend from his arms two monstrously sized demonic palms, clawed and all, that would completely change the supposed fake Yamcha's tune. All while, even more curiously, both Piccolo and Tien Shinhan would show concern.
Well, at least that felt a bit like Yamcha.
As violently with no remorse, Vegito would clamp his hands down instantly, clapping a thunderous collision together that would simply burst the Earthling's skull like a watermelon. Come 17, this pig needs to be put down! But seeking revenge, the brother-sister duo 17 and 18 would be next coming from behind, almost undetectably, but not for Vegito, who grinning with his red eyes looking behind would comment,
the android's next, huh? You two have no idea, but in another timeline, I had the pleasure of doing this already!
As just like that in one slash, almost like his entire arm had now become a scythe of energy, the God Killer would completely butcher both androids in a mess of blood, as their torsos would separate from their legs. What? Even 17 got taken down! Leaving Tien now stunned as one of the strongest members of the Universe 7's Tournament of Power would get annihilated right before his eyes.
When is this act ending? You don't know each other!
But as he would do so, the disbelieving Vegito, knowing this was all a lie, would appear right beside with a sinister, devilish look.
Vegito! What are you?
As suddenly transforming his shape into the first Demon Emperor all the way back in Sector 10, Vegito would summon a concentrated ball of energy within his hands before... Tien! blasting off a gigantic spray of pure energy, utterly obliterating the three-eyed warrior, as his bold companion Krillin would shout out in the distance. I think we made a mistake here, guys! His fear overcoming him, scarily, in just the way you would expect from the real Krillin, trembling in place before... Not again! Before, in what could be complete irony, a straight line of energy would appear right down Krillin's body, as his face would freeze and his voice and breathing would come to a stop. As once again, in a tragic callback to only a few chapters ago, the bold Earthling would find himself chopped in half once more. This time, not with a fearful Gohan behind him, but instead his cold father, who would be the one causing it. As looking down at the atrocity occurring before his eyes, Vegito would find himself thinking internally, Why? Why does this feel so lifelike? It can't be. Don't fall for it! Krillin! You monster! And as one Baldy would fall to the floor in pieces, another in the form of the Namekian Piccolo would watch cautiously with rage building until... letting loose his anger. Finally, one of the Z fighters would unleash a power-up, and one that would rival the gods. You pay! You pay for all of this, Vegito! As for the first time, Piccolo would show his orange form to Vegito, only having been unlocked after the God Killer's descent into the demon realm. Piccolo! Of course, eliciting a reaction of shock from the God Killer, as he senses the new divine form and can hardly understand what he'd be seeing. There you go! Your first mistake, devil! Piccolo hasn't got anything like this! Now I know! This is all nonsense! But naively, Vegito would then immediately take this as a sign that all his slight fears and concerns over the realness of these clones was all for naught. But whether fake or not, Orange Piccolo's speed and power would be the real deal, as he already makes his move. Orange or green, Piccolo, it's all the same to me, fool. But as Piccolo would move, Vegito would seemingly already be 10 steps ahead, already careering forward with insane speed before... In a flash, the God Killer would already be right under the oversized Namekian, his face full of shock, as Vegito, then in familiar fashion, would slowly place his hands onto Piccolo's chest, looking up sadistically with a smile, one final time saying, Die like Pui Pui, fool! No! As with Piccolo's face immediately lost in a wave of energy, his dying words would be a scream of terror. Instantly blasted off and incinerated just like Tien, before all that was left on the battlefield. Son! The final person left being on the battlefield, a completely out of his depth King Vegeta, who would be stumbling back in fear like he was facing Frieza again, letting out futilely, Wait! It's me, your father Vegeta! You met me in another timeline! You saved me and my people! but stepping forward initially without a word, with a dark face full of bloodlust, Vegito would just let out, "Father, you're no father to me, but now I'm intrigued how this devil has cloned someone like you. Not even the dead one, but one I met using a time ring. I don't like being left in the dark. Tell me now what you know, and fast!" As staring the king in the face, interrogating him, the king would be far too scared to even coherently talk, just muttering out, "Yes, I traveled to your timeline, and I fought a demon, and too slow." As instantly in his impatience, or perhaps in his unwillingness to be convinced these were real people, the God-Killer would silence him instantly and in barbaric fashion, his head cut clean in half horizontally, as blood from his brain and innards would spew out all over. But as the king's own blood would now rain over his supposed son's face and body like a fountain, an unbothered Vegito would just whisper, "So much for keeping my clothes clean. Die! These clones are nothing like I've ever seen. Not even Madara's illusions felt this real. Did you notice anything off about them?" To which a surprisingly concerned former Grand Priest, with sweat beads involuntarily coming down his face, would respond, "No. Aside from that last one, I remember the rest of your friends and their energies. They were identical, as far as I could tell." Ridiculous. Leaving Vegito to now slightly be frustrated, letting out, "Whoever this guy is, he's going to pay for playing games like this. But one thing's for sure, he knows Earth well, and he knows me even better to be exact. I don't know what kind of techniques he has up his sleeve, but we'll need to keep vigilant. It looks like he'll actually live up to his name." With that said, both Dai and Vegito would then fly off back in search of whoever was creating these so-called clones. I guess I've taken longer to find one of these demons before, but I would have thought this guy was as eager as me. Coward. The frustration getting more and more visible as the duo would continue to fly at near top speed, their eyes not missing a centimeter of ground as they would. But as they would fly across the green and mountainous peaceful fields, the location would start to become more and more familiar. This has got to be a joke! Is that? And soon enough, as Vegito's red eyes would look down, he would soon recognize something that would force him to stop. Now this really is like Earth! As shockingly on the ground would be a one-to-one recreation of Son Goku's home, with a warmth and delicious smell in the air as if it were occupied and had just had a meal cooked within. Oh, this guy really does want to waste my time. What's next? Make me kill my wife? Wait! Vegito, where do you think you're going? But without consulting his sidekick at all, instinctively, the God-Killer would be straight down to the ground of his supposed home. Landing softly in front, of course with some respect for his former residence, before walking forward with some caution, opening the creaking wooden door that had lasted decades, before brashly opening it and yelling, "Chi-Chi, are you Ox King?" But as the God Killer would look in, inside, sat at the family table, would be a dual-horned figure, sipping on what looks like a still steaming cup of tea. So, you finally arrived. Took your time, didn't you, Vegito? As sitting there nonchalantly, just with a pleased smirk, would be an all-new figure. His hair black, and 2 giant black horns, clearly demonic in nature, with a strange outfit, but most notably, with the black and green seraphim, first seen on the New Devil many chapters ago, only ever replicated again by Spada Gohan. As Vegito, calmly but coldly staring forward, would just respond, not taking his eyes off the new figure. "You're not Chi-Chi or her old man. Who the hell are you supposed to be?" And as he would ask, at that exact moment, Dai would make his way through the door as well. It's him. That is the current devil, Vegito. And as Dai would look ahead, immediately his eyes would pop open, recognizing the ruler of the realm immediately, with Vegito turning to him saying, "Really? That's him? Well, I'll be." You know already. You're Lucif's brother, aren't you? I guess we have met before. I forget these days. As the new devil, continuing to sip away, would seemingly be all too pleased to make Dai's acquaintance, almost like an old friend. Well, this changes things. A pleasure to meet you finally. I hope you'll remember meeting me. I may be the final face you ever see after all. As giving off a subtle deadly threat as his eyes would glow hot with his burning desire to kill, Vegito would then continue. How about you put that tea down and come meet me outside? I don't think you have any idea just how long I've been waiting for this moment. And fake house or not, I'd rather not ruin this place if I can help it. And with that said, without a word more initially, the new devil would begin getting out of his seat and start walking over. As immediately, without fear, he would then stand face to face with Vegito, their size and height near identical, and looking forward with a palpable sense of enjoyment, he would let out, "Oh, don't worry. I have plenty idea about that. As for wrecking this place, something tells me that will be unavoidable. Guess Chi-Chi will have to make do, right, God Killer?" But as the two would just simply stand, Dai would immediately notice how the entire sector would begin shaking and trembling uncontrollably. Watching to the side as if an earthquake was going on, with everything within the home collapsing and falling to the ground. You know, I think I might enjoy fighting you, devil. As even while the two powerhouses continue to just smile and stare, behind them, just their presence alone would cause cracks to form all over the foundation of the residence. However, as the scene would pan out to a bird's eye view of Son Goku's home, It would seem all was normal and at peace until... ultimately, the new devil would be proven right, as a gigantic explosion would rip through the land, stemming from inside the home, devastating everything in sight. You animals! Sending Dai blasting backwards for miles. Eventually regaining himself, skidding across the ground. As right in front of him now, all that would be visible is the black smoke of Vegito and the new devil's destruction. The aftermath being a humongous crater, a near endless pit fit for the explosion that had just occurred, with black lightning spontaneously appearing all within it. But as one certain thunderbolt would blast down, the cause would be there for all to see, as Vegito and the new devil would be engaged in a one-on-one deadlock of fists, their simple collision causing all that devastation. You're eager. As once zoomed in, the first smirking face we would see is the devil's, staring straight forward unfazed as he would begin. I almost wasn't ready for that sucker punch, but your eyes tell the whole story. You're only interested in one thing, aren't you, brother? As right beside him, of course, would be Vegito, but not just that, but with his own green seraphim activated, a teeth-baring smile full of thrill, and the God Killer would then respond, I've had enough talk from your kind. It was cute when I didn't know where to go, but right after you, I've got a date with Lucid. Good to know though, whatever power you have, I think it's going to fit perfectly with me. And with that, the final battle of the Demon Realm was truly about to begin, and the identity of this new devil was about to be revealed.
But that was it for today's video, guys, and if you made it this far, leave me a hashtag new in the comments down below and let me know just who this new devil is, or just find out what happens right now on my Patreon, where you can see the full next video, fully voice acted, soundtracked and edited for you to enjoy, with over 4,500 plus other fans, as well as getting access to 250 plus other fan mangas too. It's the deal of the century.